and then I can talk to you guys. So welcome after this long weekend. I didn't get a chance to listen in over the weekend, but it's okay. I'm assuming, because one of the things I did hear on that tape as I was coming in was that God's teachers do not judge, and we do not judge. And even in us fussing at each other and saying that we do not judge, there's no judgment in it if you do. It's just that it's not one of the characteristics that a teacher of God has. And so it's interesting because as I go about my day-to-day life, I am constantly aware of the things that I do that I know that I should not do, but I try not to should all over myself. So I just let it be. I just think to myself, in the next moment, I could choose differently, or I could do different. And what I find myself saying a lot to myself is, I could have laughed. And I'm always saying that nowadays. I'm always saying I could have laughed. And sometimes we can just do that instead of getting caught up in our shoulds, what we should or should not do, and trying to hold everybody else's feet to the fire. Yeah, let go of all the judgments and just do what you do, and at each moment just continuously be better at what you do. So today, this weekend was an interesting weekend, a wonderful weekend, and it's just, all is well. All is always well. All is always as it should have been. I could have had a V8. You know what? I've got some stories about that V8 story thing, baby cheese, that I won't even share because you know what? And I'm just doing me. I can have a V8 now. So I'll I used to say that a lot of times when I was younger. I used to always say I could have had a V8. And if I ever think in my mind, oh, I could have had a V8, I know that I need not do what I was doing when I had the thought that I could have had a V8. And I don't know about you, but I have often found myself in those situations. I sat at a dinner table one time. I'd gone out and accepted a date with some guy, and and it was such a miserable date. I don't know if you guys have ever been on one. Even if the food is good, there is this certain awkwardness that sometimes happens. And I think to myself, like, I should have stayed home and had a V8. So I know that feeling. I could have had a V8. I could have laughed, but I could have had a V8. So anyway, I'm here now. We're here now, and it's all good. God is love. Love is what the world needs. All that good stuff. So, having said that, let me say, do what I normally do. Start off my talk with the introduction from A Course in Miracles. It is right up in the front of your book, right in behind the table of contents, and in front of the text, chapter 1, section 1, all that good stuff. And it goes like this. It says, this is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The aim of the course is not to teach the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no opposites. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So yeah, it is it's absolutely amazing to me, um, that introduction. Herein lies the peace of God. Herein lies the peace of God. Herein lies the peace of God. The peace of God is in you. The peace of God is in me. The peace of God need be all that we experience, all that we need, all that is required in this moment. The peace of God is everywhere present. The peace of God is as close to you as your next breath when you decide that that is what you desire. You can go in and you can find the peace of God. You can proclaim the peace of God. You can know at every moment that the peace of God is all that is necessary for you to experience. I can see and I can choose peace rather than this. I can have the peace of God. I could have had the peace of God. I mean, any number of things, any number of possibilities when you think about the peace of God. I am recognizing in this holy moment of now that all is well, all is right as it should be. And as I center myself, knowing that I'm here for a purpose that expands beyond this moment, beyond this room, beyond anything that I could have conceived of or imagined, I accept this peace. I accept the divine correction that's going on, taking place in my mind right now. So you guys, I suppose I would have you come with me on a little journey. And this little journey need not be a journey that takes us off to some far off land. It need not take us to strange places or encounter other people or anything else. This little journey we can take right where you are. I can take right where I am. I can go deep within me and recognize that everything that I need, everything that I desire, everything is right here where I am and where you are. So as I'm sitting here and I'm feeling this presence, this holy moment of now, I'm feeling the vibrational energy as it circulates within me and all around this room and this area that I'm in, knowing that this need not be, knowing that who I am, who I think I am in this moment need not be, that the truth can step forward while this idea, this perception that I'm a body or that I'm the circumstances or the situation that I just left, as that recedes to the background of my consciousness. And I, just me, this experience, this expression of God comes forward. As I step forward to my mic, I just recognize that, you know what, there has been this presence in me that has always been, that has been before even I took on this moment. And this presence is just this pure and innocent self that sometimes I think I don't know, right? Sometimes I don't even think that I know that she is present or that she's here. Sometimes she gets lost and caught up in this moment and the helter-skelter of my life, the helter-skelter of all that is going on around me. Sometimes she gets lost in that. And then sometimes I hear her, I feel her right at the center of my being, knowing the truth that no matter what happens, no matter what comes my way, I remain totally as God created me. That means not flawed. That means not mistaken. That means untarnished by time. That means totally loved, totally forgiven. That means I need do nothing. I need not go any place, just in the recognition, in the standing still of my spirit. I remain as God created me. Isn't that awesome? I mean, isn't it an awesome thought that if we just quiet the world around us, if we just quiet ourselves, quiet the buzz that we think is ever present in our heads, if we just quiet all that stuff down and come into this central spot, we'll recognize and know that I am saved by my one self. Thank you so much, Paul. I am saved by my one self. And that is an awesome place to be. It's an awesome knowing just to just stand up in that. You know, it seems as though when I stand up in that, all the stuff, all the chafe just falls away from off the sides of me. All that I thought was wrong, all that I could have judged, all that I see that I think is out there, as I stand up in this one self that I am, all of that other stuff falls by the wayside. It just falls clear and clean. And all that I know is this wonderful vibratory energy that is God. It is just what you are. It is what I am. It is all there is. So, yeah, I need not go to other places. I need not search other things. I need do nothing in this moment. But just know. Just know and accept the truth that is me. All you need do in this moment is know and accept the truth as you perceive it to be, as you. That means I don't stand in judgment of what your thoughts are. I'm not I'm not I'm not sitting here trying to figure out if you're saying it right, if you're doing it right, if you're showing up right, if you've read your lesson, if you show up on time. I'm not trying to judge you. I have no desire to judge you. I have only desire to love what is. And what is our oneness. What is that we are part of this one whole. There is nothing that could be wrong with any of this. Not with you, not with me, not with anything. And even as we judge the things, the circumstances that come up in our lives, you know, those times when you think, uh-oh, what those times when you think things are or could be other than they are. I mean, isn't it amazing when you just stand up in that awareness that all is well? Oh, so I'm sorry, my phone was just starting to ring and I just realized that I hadn't put it on vibrate. And even that is good. Even that's okay. Even that is how it was supposed to be. And um, so I'm just so thankful. I'm so very thankful that you are where you are and I am where I am. Yes, all is well. Thank you. So, so let's see, what am I going to talk about today? You know, for a moment there, I was feeling, you know, this how I always say it is there's this scattering of energy, and it happens a lot when we seem to be running from one place to the next. I know for me, for the last few days, it seems as though I've been running and I'm running and I'm running. And then I get the blessing of coming on to do this lesson. And all of a sudden, my running needs to stop. I mean, I stop dead in my tracks and I think, like, wow, let me get centered. Let me go to that sacred place within me so that I can tap in and touch bases with this awesome power that flows through me. So yes, this morning I had this wonderful meditation. I don't remember what happened. I remember that I sat down to meditate. And then the next thing I know, as I was coming up out of it, my neck was stiff and my back was a little achy. And I was thinking to myself, okay, now I need to go and work out. That was what I thought. That was my next thought. Okay, I need to go and work out because I'm thinking that I really needed to get busy on this, sometimes we get so caught up in doing that we just don't take time for ourselves. And so that was what I needed to do. I needed to just to do my meditation and then take some time for myself. So, today I'm going to read something because as I was preparing to sit down and talk to you guys, I grabbed one of the books that I love and I set it next to me. And for some reason I set it next to me. I don't know why, other than I just wanted I wanted to have it present at hand. And so I opened it up and I'm flipping through, and I know that there is a story in here that I want to read to you. And as soon as I find it, I will read and tell you, um, and I'll tell you a little bit about the story before I read it. Okay, actually, it's a couple of pages, I think. But you guys, I hope you'll understand when I read it. I don't know why I'm reading it, other than it's here. And I'm just doing it because I can. Because I've got you guys for the next 40 minutes. And if you're listening to me, great. So this is out of, I'm holding it up. I'm holding up a book on Ustream. So since you guys are in Pow Talk in the chat room, you guys can't see it. But it is Marianne Williamson's book, Enchanted Love, The Mystical Power of Intimate Relationships. And this is a book that I don't even know when I bought it. I just bought it because it was Marianne Williamson's, and I love to read Marianne Williamson. So I got the book, and I've read the book a couple of times, I'll tell you. And one of the reasons why I read the book a couple of times is because every once in a while I use it like it's foreplay. Um, you guys know me. Darn it, I say what I think and what I feel and what's true, and I have no private thoughts. So I do it as foreplay. If you want to, if you're a guy and you may be, if you were a guy I was dating and you're laying in my bed, you have to listen to me read, and I'm going to read to you. And as a matter of fact, you need to pretend like you like it when I read to you so that it goes further. And so I often get to a place where I just feel like I want to read, and then I read. And so that's what I'm going to do here and now because I can, because I've got you guys hostage. Okay, so and I have no idea what this is that I'm going to read to you. All I know is that when I opened up, I have several bookmarks in these pages, and I'm going to read to you one of the bookmarked pages. All right, and it says start here. I've got a friend actually by this name. It's so ironic. My girlfriend, Sandy Scott, says that every relationship involves a gift exchange. There's always an exchange of gifts in a relationship, and knowing this reminds us of the spiritual purpose of having one. There are lessons for us to teach and lessons for us to learn in every human encounter. In intimacy, our capacity to love is the greatest, and our temptation to judge is the greatest as well. The possibility that we will merge our heart with the heart of another is the negative ego's greatest fear, because the merger is the death of the ego. Fear-based ego is nothing more than the belief that we are separate beings and truly joined with another, and truly joining with another puts the lie to that lie. It is the crucifix in front of the vampire, the casting out of devils, the water Dorothy poured on the wicked witch, the kiss of the prince, and the resurrection of divine nature. Oh, I love the way she uses all of those myths just to explain that. when Dorothy poured the water on the Wicked Witch, the kiss of the prince. I don't know if you guys watch Once, but they always talk about how the kiss of your beloved, the true love, your true love will wake you out of any dream, out of any, will overcome any spell. True love's first kiss or true love's kiss. The resurrection of our divine nature. Okay, so I'm going to continue reading. Once we have experienced true joining with anyone, then the track is laid for our mind to experience it with everyone. That doesn't mean we will, but it means we have an increased emotional capacity for doing so. A softened heart towards anyone makes the heart at least potentially softer in its dealings with the world. Intimate love is a spiritual training for everything in life. It is not meant to be an exclusive sanctuary from the pain of the world, but rather an inclusive balm for the sorrows of the world. In learning to show up more fully for one person, we should learn to show up more fully for life. It always blows me away when people say they don't have time for a relationship. And what else is time for? For what other purpose are we living our lives? And can we really be passionate and creative in one area while we suppress our passion in creativity in somewhere else or somewhere else? Emotion is like water. It can't be cut down the middle. It can't be put on a shelf. Intimate love, particularly an enchanted love, is the engine room for a certain kind of creative existence. When the burners are blasting there, the entire ship is ablaze with energy. Oh man, don't you just love her? So let me keep reading for a minute. It is a broader, more universal love towards which the planet is evolving, and all individual relationships are meant to serve that higher purpose. That is why there is such a no, that is why there is such cosmic momentum behind true romance. It feels when we fall in love as though we have been we have received a gift from God, and in fact we have. But when God gives a gift to anyone, it is never meant for that person alone. All gifts of God are intended for everyone. Spirit recognizes that a particular combination of souls, the highest possibilities, exist for the evolution of all living beings. Spirit sent Jennifer to John because within this love, she has more chance of becoming and more quickly the woman she is capable of being. Let me read that again. Spirit sent Jennifer to John because within this love, she has more chance of becoming and more quickly the woman she is capable of being. And Spirit sent John to Jennifer for exactly the same reason. Spirit thus gave both John and Jennifer to one another as their relationship assignment. In that sense, Cupid is very real indeed. His arrow says, stop and look at this person. There is something for you to learn here and something for you to teach. And God's gifts never stop giving. If Jennifer is lifted and John is lifted, then the world is lifted in ways that neither of them ever knew, ever even will know. As Jennifer and John are lifted together, their gifts to the world are exponentially increased. That is why people cry at weddings. We're not just happy for the lucky couple. Rather, we're unconsciously know that if this depth of devotion is possible for anyone, It's possible on some level for all of us. When two hearts join in ecstasy and rapture, an army of light ascends and the world is brought closer to heaven. Literally, the beloved hands, the beloved's hand on us, like a baby's hand, holds a power that is straight from God. Heaven is, in a metaphysical term, the experience of our oneness. The world is a holographic universe with every piece containing the whole, and an enchanted love between two people is a blessing on the entire world. Thus, the awesome power and responsibility of intimacy. The question that faces us is so much deeper than, are my needs being met here? It becomes, how can the world be blessed by our having found each other? God wants us to be deeply, completely, and powerfully happy, because happy people are the most effective people. If your partner left the house feeling happier this morning because he or she spent the night with you, then know this: you have served the world today. Just being in a good relationship is the ultimate service to the planet. And yet, for all of its obvious magics, love is as daunting at times as it is compelling. The deeper our fear of light at the center of ourselves, the deeper our fear of truly loving another. No matter how much a relationship blesses us, no matter how good it feels, and even perhaps at times because it feels so good, this soul medicine, when first offered up, can appear to the mind like a cup of poison. Enchanted partnerships takes courage because it challenges us to be. In the words of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, God answers sharp and sudden on some prayers and thrusts the things we have prayed for in our face, a gauntlet with a gift in it. God brings us love, but we must meet it with courage or it will slip through our hands. When love walks in, we best meet it with backbone. We best meet it with backbone. And when we do, we become different creatures. We are no longer adrift in our own aloneness, but are anchored in a steady love. Our ship is sturdy. Our love is to be deep dependent on, not because its form will never change, but because someone else has given us their promise with their eyes, with their actions, with their words, with their kisses, that this bond is neither small nor unimportant, that this commitment shall be in some way last, that this commitment will in some way last forever, and this lifetime shall not be lived alone. So one of my favorite quotes from her is what she ends this section with. And she says, I thought you would never get here. To which the response was, I know. That's what took me so long. It's done unto you as you believe, right? So it was interesting. Like I said, I used to read to folks, to guys that I was dating, out of this Enchanted Love book. And it was always because it inspired me to not be afraid of the 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 points at which I thought joining could somehow help me or lose me in the process. That like so many women, when we merge with anyone else, we seem to, or have seemed to in the past, especially when we were younger, lose or have lost parts of ourselves in the process. And so it becomes this thing when we join with anybody. Our ego has this thing of saying, oh my God, my very existence is threatened. And for me, that was so very real, because I was always thinking to myself, when and I will say, I don't know that I've outgrown this now. I keep saying to you, when I was younger, maybe it's because now I don't get quite as excited as I used to about this whole process. But it was this whole thing of, like I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I can't lose me. I can't lose the wonderful parts of myself. I can't. I won't. And so it was always this thing of thinking to myself that a relationship was about some type of sacrifice, as if it was called upon me in order to be in it, to be something different than I was, to be somewhat of a contortionist, to kind of to move myself in ways that I might not otherwise, simply so I could be in that particular situation. It's funny because something as simple as how we sleep seems to change when somebody else is sleeping with us. I mean, you don't always sleep on your side. I mean, if in all honesty, when I sleep on my side, it's kind of uncomfortable. But then all of a sudden, here I am. And if I want to be there in that particular space, in that relationship, I find myself doing things that I might not otherwise have done. And so it's one of those things where I'm tempted to run because I'm thinking that it calls me to do too many things that I don't want to do. But everything that in life that we experience calls us forward. Mm, to understand that all of these ego things, these places where we would keep ourselves separate, the places where we would ease another out, where we would ease God out, where we want to define our edges, that the very thing that we're looking for to kind of like make us blur the lines is the exact same thing that some of us run for, because the blurring of the lines is scary. So when I opened my book, I saw this and it's like, how fearful then has God become to you? And how great is the sacrifice do you believe? And how great a sacrifice do you believe? His love demands. For total love would demand total sacrifice. And so the ego seems to demand less of you than God. And of the two is judged as the lesser of the two evils. So we think that our egos, staying as we are, staying in this space that we are, with these hard, a hard outline, we think that that requires more of us than surrendering to the allness of God. I know, it's so funny because as I look at this, I sit there and I see it so clearly. It's like there's a part of me that knows so clearly how fearful all of it can be. Um, I've shared often on here that I used to think that to live the spiritual life, to do the spiritual walk that I was doing, required that I be somebody different, that I renounce the true Sandra, the truth about me. I thought I was supposed to renounce all of that. And in renouncing all of that, then I would have a God that accepted me, rather than recognizing that nobody was judging me. But we've been taught for so long that we are judged. And how fearful is that? So then the next thing is that Christmas is the end of sacrifice, the light shining in the midst of the darkness, that's telling us that all that we think we're seeing is not the truth. That if we just, if we just recognize, man. Okay, so we were taught from birth to protect ourselves, and we had to learn to surrender many years later. Yes. And so we're still learning. I mean, I don't claim to have it down. As I sit back and I listen to others and I read the works of and the likes, the ideas that people like Marianne have, and I listen to other folks, it's as if um, it's as if I recognize that there must have been some fear in me that has caused me to say no when I should have said yes, that has caused me to run away from things because I was so stuck on maintaining and protecting what I thought was me. And really it was just the fear. It was fear coming up. The opposite of love is fear, right? And so for so many of us, we're choosing fear rather than love. And that's not to say, I am quick. I tell people all the time that the Course tells me that salvation is a collaborative venture, that we must do this thing like go two by two into the kingdom so that we recognize that it's not just about my one self, this one self that I know myself to be, but seeing myself and being able to unite with my brother, knowing that as I unite with him, that some of this ideas that I had about my one self kind of blurs. And then I start to see that my interest and their interest are one and the same, that we are both the part of the sonship or part of this kingdom of God. And so if I want to grow, then I need to see something different, something bigger, something better. So we are still learning, and yes, we are now surrendering to love. Yes, Lori. And so it's like, okay, so let me read this. So see not so it says that the sign of Christmas is a star, a light in the darkness. Christmas, we like to look at it as if it's a season that happens over here, like December or something like that. But if we're in darkness because we can't see our own light or can't acknowledge our own light, then that very light that is shining, that light that is drawing or calling us up to higher ground, that light can be shining within. That light can be the very thing that is our love or that our assignment that we then connect with so that we recognize the truth about what we do, the truth about love within ourselves. And so if we can join with another and heal not just ourselves, but the world through that love, then all of this stuff, we'll see that the light is not out there. The light is not somewhere else. You are the light, and that this light is calling you to expand and to then light up everything, not just a dark sky, but everything that is possible. To just let our light shine. And so as I'm always like trying to challenge myself, how do I get to be the person that I so desire to be? I know that I can stay right where I am. I can stay here because there is this comfortable space within me that says that what's always been is just comfortable. I mean, who hasn't thought that there's a sense of comfort with what we know? But if what we know becomes the prison that we live inside of, if what we know kind of traps us in, mm, then how do we see ourselves? Like the Course, remember that section in here that talks about the little fence that we put up in the midst of the ocean? And we think that our fence means something. And we've set up this fence and we're fencing it in, this self that we think we are. We fence ourselves in around this fence, and yet the ocean knows nothing of the fence that we made. As a matter of fact, it knows nothing of it, and it's not bound to respect it, even when you're saying, look, this is my fence, darn it, and you need to respect my fence. And the ocean is just doing what it does because that's what it does. And so we're standing there and we're saying, you know what? My comfort zone is saying that you need to stop right there, flow around me. But the truth of the matter is that we can only assume that in this allness that we can put up a fence or we can stake a flag down and say mine. It's not. It's not. It's part of something so much bigger. But our ego wants to fence us in. Our ego wants to think that its boundaries are real. Our ego gets caught up in that. And once we let go of this perception of the fence, then we recognize that we're a part of something so much greater than what we could have ever imagined. It's so funny because even as I get this concept in my mind, even as I wrap my mind around it, I think to myself, how often have I put up my little fence thinking that it meant something? Whether it's in the spiritual arena or in a relationship arena or whatever arena it is in, I have been one who has wanted to put up a stake, wanted to, put a flag up and say Sandra is here, Sandra is here, Sandra is here. I want to put a fence around it and think that somehow life won't flow in. And it does every time. We think it's so funny because we think by controlling things that somehow we have, that we get comfortable, we can be comfortable. But what is that? This is a required course, remember? Only the time you take it is voluntary. And so if it's a required course, stuff is going to happen. It's going to happen and it's going to flow. So yeah, so this little fence is nothing when we come to the allness of God. Did I break my glasses just now? I did. Okay, so um all right, so here I'm going to read some. I can't believe no one can take it for you. No. So so here we go. So here I'm going to look down and read this right quick, and I broke my glasses, so it's great. You will not succeed in being partial hostage to the ego, for it keeps no bargains and would leave you nothing. Nor can you be partial host to it. You must choose between total freedom and total bondage, for there are no alternatives but these. Total freedom or total bondage, for there are no alternatives but these. Host to ego, hostage. I'm sorry, yeah. Host to ego, hostage to the ego, or host to God is how it goes. And so it becomes this thing of we're always making a choice. Would I rather see heaven or would I rather see hell? One is wide open and one is a prison. But even in you like choosing the prison because you think that the prison is somehow more comfortable, even in choosing that, here I found new glasses. Even in choosing that, there is always, it's amazing because I like to tell people over and over again that there is only now. There is only this moment. And so, whatever you choose, you can always choose again and choose again and choose again. And all the stuff that you thought you did wrong, all the stuff that you thought wasn't right, all the stuff that you judged, all of that falls away and you get to choose again. And so it becomes this ongoing thing of the eternal holy moment of now. That's all there is. And so you can choose between those alternatives. And you know what? And you can keep choosing until you choose. Well, here's the funny thing. I used to always tell people that, and you don't have to worry about the grades. That's the truth. That's the truth. Um, I used to tell people that, oh gosh, I lost that thought. Okay, I'll let it go. I'll let it go because I lost it for a reason. Salvation is simply being of God and therefore very easy to understand. Do not try to project it from you and see it outside of yourself. In you are both the question and the answer, the demand for sacrifice and the peace of God. Yeah. So, So it's so interesting because what I would seek to protect, what I would seek to protect, uh, it's kind of like going into, you've seen movies. I don't know why you're sorry. Um, okay, you don't have to just worry about the grades. Okay, so I used to get this analogy all the time. Um, People would go to jail and they would be in jail, and because a jail is a lockdown and a prison unto itself, you have a little space and you have routines set, and yeah, and everything is determined and decided for you. And people have really hard times when they're released from jail, because now all of a sudden they have to make decisions for themselves. It's kind of like, hopefully not like the three girls that were set free here 1 week ago today. It's only been 1 week ago today, 1 week and a couple of hours. Uh, Gina DeJesus, Amanda Berry, and Michelle Knight. They were released last Monday. But it's kind of like being released from a prison and then people not knowing how to function now that they get to make all their decisions, now that they are released and free. It's like then it's like the decision making process has been so interrupted in their lives that what they crave, the comfort that they crave, is for somebody to tell them what to do. They want to, even though they open the door, somebody opens the door and says, "You're free, now go." They want to close that door back because they're not ready to deal with the decision making process that life dictates we embark upon. How do I get my food if somebody isn't serving it at 5:30? Um, when is bath time? What do I need to go out for? Or what do I need to do? Some people crave the comfort of the confinement. I even know people who crave the comfort of relationships and the sameness of a day to day routine because those comfortable things provide us with structure. I know for me, when I get up in the morning, I have a set morning routine. You can ask folks that know me. I have a set morning routine, and that morning routine sets me up for the rest of my day, for the course of my day. So when I get up, I come in, I kind of like, after I go into the bathroom, I come out, and then it's like it's meditation time. And I sit down and I do my meditation. And then after meditation, I have to do my exercise. And then after that, then I can have my cup of coffee. And then I can go on with the other things that I have to do. But don't throw me off, because if you throw me off, then I've got problems. I mean, my thing has been interrupted, and so it sets up for me the rest of my day. So that part I have some structure over, and that structure seems to make us comfortable. The problem is that when a lot of times we have so much predictability and structure, and we have confined ourselves down to the point where we no longer want the freedom of being out there in the world, because somehow it seems as though this is more comfortable. But now here's the other interesting thing. I met a lady over the weekend who who is an artist, who is an artist, and yet she said to me over and over again, "There's no future in that." Now she's got to be, up there, in her 40s, coming probably, late. Maybe she's coming up on her 50s. I'm not sure. Maybe she's not quite there. Maybe she's in her mid 40s. But she kept saying over and over again, "There's no future in that. It's not practical." And she was telling me all the reasons why she couldn't, rather than all the reasons why she could. And so we put ourselves in these prisons. We close the doors and we refuse to go outside. We would rather be hostage to this sense of self, this outline that we have drawn for self, this impression that we've had, rather than seeking the freedom, the freedom of God. So as I thought about that, I was thinking to myself, when God gives us gifts, He doesn't give it to us for us alone. And so it's something that we gift the world with. It's something that we share. It's something that is out there for all of us. When we lock ourselves in the prison, we not only don't get to express our gifts, but then we close ourselves off from the expanded awareness that comes from letting ourselves get swept up and carried away in it. So whether it be love, like Mariam Williamson said, or whatever it is that your gifts are, allowing ourselves to surrender to the process, allowing ourselves to recognize that there is a call upon our lives to just kind of let it flow, to let it go, to not be held hostage in these confined spaces, but rather expand into the allness of who we are meant to be. So see not that light shining outside of yourself, but shining in the heaven within, and accept it as a sign of the time of the Christ to come, the Christ that is you. So if it is like I have read in books, if the Christ, to be the Christ, is to accept the anointing, that anointing that says that you are love, the Christ as an anointing, as a title given to a person um, who exercises, who demonstrates unconditional love. If that be the case, then let that be the goal. Let that Christ come within your being. Accept that title. Accept that mission for yourself. And so he comes demanding nothing. No sacrifice of any kind of anyone is asked by him. In his presence, this is with capital H's. In his presence, the whole idea of sacrifice loses all meaning, for he is host to God. She is host to God. And you need not but invite him in, who is there already, by recognizing that his host is one, and no thought alien to his oneness abides with him there. Love must be total to give him welcome. Love must be total to give him welcome. For the presence of holiness creates the holiness that surrounds it. No fear can touch the host who cradles God in the time of Christ. For the host is as holy as the perfect innocence which he protects and whose power protects him. Oh, you guys, it has been, I love doing this. I love doing this. So you guys, there is nothing that you need do. But listen, here's what I want to say. I know there's nothing you need to. That's what we were told. But the other part of that is that let's be about the business of removing the blocks to our awareness of love's presence. Like it says in the introduction, removing the blocks to our awareness of love's presence. When we do that, when we remove the blocks to our awareness of love's presence, then we'll recognize our own truth. We'll recognize that truth in each other. We'll stop with these egoic barriers that would say, I can't do that. I can't go here with you. I can't even drink from the same cup. I can't drink deeply with you because I might lose something. Let us recognize our blocks and remove those blocks. That's all we do. I think that might be enough. All right, so this has been Sandra Bishop, my website, sandrasutter.com. Follow me on Twitter at SanBishop, SanBishop, and on Facebook at Sandra D. Bishop. I love you guys. I'll see you again Wednesday at 7 p.m. Blessings. Thank you. Woohoo! Woohoo! Yay!
Hello, this is Dr. Paul. Can I get a sound check? Can you hear me? The dreaded sound check. I don't know if I'm on or off. Can you hear? Yeah, you can hear. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, this is Dr. Paul Tuthill coming at you from Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's an unusual evening in that I'm going to share with you something which seems a bit arcane, but it's actually one of the texts that they found in the Nag Hammadi find in 1949 called the trifecta perfectorate or something like that. I'll tell you in a minute. But anyway, usually my point of view or my aim is to share something really practical with you. I like to talk about the separation and the separation delving into a sense of worthlessness or weakness or a sense of fear that you're afraid. So, but tonight I want to do something different. We're going to focus on We're going to focus on what's called the Father. And although you can take this any way you want to, you can take it literally, you can take it religiously, you can take it traditionally, you can take it however you